Okay, so today's lesson is on 30.3, the digestive system. And in the digestive system, there are processes that involve intake of food, which is ingestion, the digestive food, which is both mechanical and chemical. There's the absorption process, and then the elimination. We're going to take them in turn. So, for the process of digestion, the food has to enter the mouth and pass through a number of organs in which the food is mechanically and chemically digested. In the mouth, it's the beginning part of the chemical and mechanical process of digestion. Teeth will grind down the food, and the saliva mixes with the food, and the enzyme will break down starches and fight infection in the food itself. So the mouth is going to be the number one portion of the digestive properties, and then it will travel down the esophagus, in which case we have this epiglottis that will protect the opening of the trachea. So when you get ready to swallow, the food does not enter your lungs. And it moves down the esophagus, which is a tube leading down into the stomach, through a process called peristalsis. This peristalsis is basically, in essence, if you took a tennis ball and put it in a sock and you tried to move it from one end to the other, you would have to squeeze the ball down the sock. Well, that's basically what's happening in the esophagus. The food is pushed along by muscle contraction, forcing the food down. So this muscle contraction also allows for the prevention of stomach content to flow back up into the mouth. It prevents a backflow of acid into the esophagus. So chemical digestion happens in the stomach, where hydrochloric acid will start breaking down, and pepsin, which is an enzyme that's formed, works on breaking down the proteins. Proteins is your largest food molecule, and structurally, it's the largest molecule, and it takes longer to break down. So where starch is broken down in the mouth and form into sugar, proteins take longer time to break down, and it starts to work in the stomach. Also in the stomach, there is the acid will also kill any bacteria or microorganism that enters. So the digestion will continue on into the small intestine. And here in the duodenum, enzymes will be mixed in, coming from the pancreas and liver, and it will continue the process of digestion, because in the stomach itself, these enzymes would not work in the hydrochloric acid, so they needed to be re-added. So the job of the pancreas is three functions. One, it produces a hormone to regulate the blood sugar levels. And two, it will break down the carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. The pancreas will also quickly neutralize the stomach acid as it enters the duodenum. The liver and the gallbladder also assist in the digestion. So the liver produces bile, which is what will start to break down the lipids. Bile is stored in a place called the gallbladder. So when the fat is present, then the gallbladder will release into the duodenum bile, which will start to break down this fat into tiny goblets. The absorption into the small intestine is a big process. The small intestine has an adaptation where, one, it's very long. If you were to uncoil it, it has a long surface area. 2, it has these villi, little tiny protrusions, as you see, that look finger-like, and this also increases the surface area. So if you pull those little protrusions out, the surface area is even larger. And then on each of these protrusions, there's a thing called microvilla. And in these microvilla, this is where the enormous surface area for absorption happens. So all of your nutrients are absorbed through the small intestine. It works its way down, so your food particles become down to the molecular level, in which case it will start to break down large organic molecules into their smaller components. This will continue all the way down into the large intestine. And the large intestine's job is to absorb water. It will stay in the colon, and as it's moving across, more and more water is absorbed. Those who have proper bowel movements, elimination of waste, usually there's some water content. Those who have a poor fiber diet can end up having constipation, and that is when water has been removed too much from this waste material, leaving the waste much drier and harder to move and eliminate. So the colon has bacteria, and this bacteria helps in that it's able to take care of infections and protect the colon. If you take antibiotics, then it can destroy these healthy bacteria, and you can actually end up not having any vitamin K, and you'll have a vitamin K deficiency. So in the elimination process, this is when the colon now will remove the waste as feces. It happens at the anus, which is the exterior portion of the eliminatory canal. And what is eliminated is the undigestible food and waste materials, and also dead cells that have been scraped off as it's been moving through the canal. If you think about friction, so all dead cells, skin sloughs off dead cells all the time, will also be part of the waste that is eliminated. So this is the digestive system. And if you have any questions, please send me your voice message.